Okay, so I got the timer running. All right, so I'm here with Mila Costa, and she's a very well-known painter in Vancouver, and she's done a lot of different kinds of things in our community. She works as a teacher, sometimes teaching painting, I believe. You've got a gallery that's in Fort Langley, and so you're a very busy kind of person. I know you travel to China quite a bit as well with your art, so you're marketing your art in a very ongoing way. So you're not one of these artists that sits back and waits for a client to come through and buy your art. You're out there in the world, and you're sharing your art with the world and selling it, aren't you? It's a big part of your creative process. Am I correct?
Yes. Hi, Lyle.
Hi, Mila.
You mentioned quite a few careers that I'm having, and quite a few hats that I'm wearing. Yes, first and foremost, most of all, I'm a visual artist, practicing visual artist in Vancouver, contemporary one, and my paintings are large scale ones, and I work in teams, and my recent team is fragments, and those are pieces that then and work that I'm working for last 5 years. Before that was the borders, and I was affected as a young artist coming from Eastern Europe, and those borders that I used to know in life, in literal ones, were gone. So I learned in very early age that nothing is set in stone and things change. So I try to address through my work, try to address the issues that comes with that. I can address the stage of my mind and my ideas and what I see it. And those are things that I'm doing as a visual artist. My fragments comes a bit later. I'm a bit older now. I'm settled in Vancouver. For the last many years, I call Vancouver my home. So I change, things around me change, and I'm trying to pick up pieces and from outside of my world and how I feel and what I think about art, life, what makes me to cringe, what I love it, and what I'm passionate about. So those are pieces and things that I do as a visual artist. Right. Also, being in Vancouver and being a very young person, I immigrated when I was 28. So I decided not to be a starving artist. I decided that I would do something in my career as a visual artist and just do whatever I have to do so people can notice my work.
Yes.
And see what I'm seeing. And I try to just to bring my work out to the public when I started. But one thing's in life, like one door closed and other open. And so what happened from success that we had in Alliance Culture of Alliance of Culture, in many years ago, they had a program for artists, and I was lucky enough to attend to that program. I learned about the business, I learned about presentation, I got a chance for the first time to meet Brian Adams' manager. So those are things that trigger my other life, and
right.
Things that.
So that's really interesting. About
how. Sorry, I'm not wrong you already.
It's okay. It's okay. It's just fine. It's really interesting to know about your beginnings and about how you got involved in the art world. And what I really particularly liked is this idea of, you said something about deciding that you weren't going to be a starving artist. And I've talked about this in the past with other people, and I've had this comment sometimes that, and I've known artists that feel this way, that they have to suffer in some way in order to be a real, true, creative person. And I said, no, that's not the truth. That's not the truth about anybody that's successful in art doesn't starve. The people that are not successful do starve, of course, because they're not successful. But the idea that you could actually make up your mind that that's not going to be the path you choose, I think that's very commendable.
Thank you, Lyle. I will tell you one little thing. I had a life before I came to Canada. I was a chosen artist. I was 10 years old. I finished university. And in my country, former Yugoslavia, my work was among a few artists chosen that year to represent the year of the culture. But that was also a year that I immigrated, and I have to forget about everything there. I was only allowed to take 6 paintings with me, which I did. And that was it. Here in Canada, I was lucky enough to be involved with that search program. Alliance for Cultural and Arts had that for free. And they basically give you tools what to do. What is your first step? What you can do in your life. I was young, I had the big dreams, and I had a passion, as I say. But with all that, you just need to think out of the box a lot of times. When it comes to my beginning, I followed the search program for a few months, and that leads me to certain doors to be open.
Right.
So that's how I started.
Yes. With a very strong determination, because I know you. You're very,
you're
very passionate, and you have a strong determination. So, I mean, those are very good characteristics for a successful person, I think. You know, they have that passion for what you do, and then the determination to go forward with it. So that's really a wonderful way. So wonderful way to succeed, I think. So it's great. It's great to reflect on that idea. So I have some questions here regarding your career path. Realized your art was like you realized you were an artist from a very young age, and so you were explaining that. And so, what do you think is like the foremost thing that you do? Like, we're just maybe in terms of business. What is the foremost thing that you do that brings clients to you as an artist? What do you do to attract clients to you?
I was involved in a non-profit for more than 10 years. I was running the gallery for the Federation of Canadian Artists. I learned a great deal about the business and art.
All right.
And those connections, those contacts, they are with me today as well. So my clients that I had them 10 years ago, they're still following me. They're still coming to my studio. Purchasing paintings. I'm connected on a personal level with many of them. I was one of a few artists who will go to a client's house just to talk, to make sure that what they want is really art that they wanted. I did not want it to sell a painting. I want them to sell the something that they love it, that they will fell in love with the paintings and art. General. So I was not afraid to go and talk to them and say, you know what, this is a great space. I love this corner, but I don't feel that painting of mine, that you will like it, will particularly do well here. So that being not afraid to say, you know what, I love to sell this painting to you, but maybe, just maybe, this one will more suits the everything surrounding in that room, or surrounding of who you are as a person. That also helps to be bold a bit and be honest.
Sure.
And that's what I'm trying to do for the last 10 years.
Yes. So you keep very close relationships with your clients.
I do.
Yeah.
But I also market on online list of, as every other organization that and other studio. I do the all marketing. I have all marketing tools as everybody else. But it helps to know people, and it helps to be in a community. So I volunteer a lot. I donated my work. I was not afraid to be rejected. So
Yes.
you have to, you have to accept that. So I did.
Right. So you, I find that this is interesting because you have such a strong business background in art, and then you have so much work that you produce in your studio as well. So I have a certain feeling about this idea too, about being in business and being in art at the same time.
Yeah.
So how do you manage that? What do you do? Like I always say when I try to communicate about the art business is that it's just part of what we do as artists. It's just an extension of our creative work is to just be in the business of selling your art. It's just an extension of being creative. You have to approach it in some way. But then on the other side, it's actually, there is a business formula that you follow. There's a marketing process, and you do mailings, and you do telephone follow-ups, and all those things that are present in all businesses. It's not different than all businesses in that regard. So do you find that to be the same?
Yeah, indeed, it's not different. It's a business. It's a business true and true. When I wear my hat as a visual artist, then I close my doors and I just paint. I don't think about sales. I don't think about clients. I don't answer phones. I don't do anything of that kind. But when I am working and I represent more than 50 artists, and I have people that I employ now, I have a marketing team, I have designers, and I work with accountants, and you wear different hats. You have to be able to follow your contractors. You should be able to know what you're talking about. So I have to learn a lot about business. I have to learn about accounting. I have to learn to be accounted for.
Yes.
So you need to have that critical thinking. It's easy to slip away and not to answer and not to do the business. There is a tons of emails that I'm getting daily. In a certain days, there is more than 100. As a company, we receive, I'm running art consulting company, I'm running an educational company, and we have a gallery in Fort Langley. So those are three entities that they're all somehow connected.
Sure.
I have my schedule for today, and I don't know what I'm going to do in 2 days because it's all in my schedule. I cannot remember. But I know the last thing that I do when day is end, that I look at my schedule for tomorrow. Or I have a reminders, I have my assistant reminding me, hey, you have something very important in 3 days from now.
Right.
With all that said, you have to be very organized. It took me some time to get to that point, to be organized, to make sure that I'm always on time, to respect other people's time, and to be the most important thing in this business, I found to be honest and fair. Being a business person, and to know your artists, to know whom you're dealing with, to know their personal lives and their personal struggles. That helps me to give them more value their time and their value mine. So it helps a lot in the business to be punctual, to be on time, and to know what are you talking about.
Right. So that's always very important.
That helps. I'm not sure.
Yes, no, that's true. I really appreciate that about you too as well.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I know you as a very straightforward and honest person. Yeah.
It's a focus and discipline. The focus and discipline is really important, and those are things that makes me. And I'm driven. Lyle, you know me. I'm a driven person. I have a lot of energy, and I am doing 4 projects at the same time. And as they say, you are as good as your next project or your next sale.
It's your next sale.
Not one that you're just done it and you complete it, and that's past. And I'm not looking back. I'm always looking forward. I'm looking at a big picture. I have people now with me who will sit me down and say, this is 24 hours only. We can do this and this and that. So I have to slow down and make sure that I give enough time for the people to do their jobs.
Sure.
And it helps me to rethink my ideas, but I always think 2 steps ahead.
Yes, that's great. I did a course once with a famous sculptor in California. His name was Richard McDonald. He's still a famous sculptor. He used to offer a course in his studio, and I'd go in there, and you could sign up for a week, and you could work in his studio with him for a week. And he'd just show you everything he knew. It was very uplifting, and I was really inspired by how he did his work. But he had a very big studio with a lot of employees all around him all the time, but he continued to work on his own projects. And he described how he did it, and he said he uses 3/4 of every hour, like 45 minutes, to not be disturbed. And then the last 15 minutes of every hour, he allowed his personal assistant to come in with the phone, and he'd answer any phone calls or any employees that had a question. He could answer that in 15 minutes. Then on the hour again, door was shut and locked, and on he went again. Like, can you manage that way?
I can. I'm still not there.
Not there. No.
I learned a lot of to be that punctual and that on. It's only 24 hours, Lyle, and I do sleep certain days. I do have a few coffees here and there, and lunch with friends, and I do all this, but that helps me to work even harder and even longer hours. People will find me answering my emails at 11 at night. I have no problem with that. I think that's a good part. That's a good time for me to be focused into that. They answering my emails that I need to answer them that day. If it comes, what I do, and I work steady. I have no problem with that. I know that. It's my life.
Yes. So it looks like you enjoy every part of what you're doing here.
I do.
So, but in my studio, I believe that I can be creative when I need to be creative, and I have set aside like 3 full days, like the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in my studio, where I just do creative work on those days. And I don't have a cell phone. I lock the door. No one comes in. They don't bother me. And those 3 days, the other 2 days of the week, Thursday, Friday, are a little mixed. I do other things on those days, but I'm still in the studio. So I feel as though I can turn on my creative energy when I need to on the Monday to Wednesday. And I believe that there's a system or a process that you can use to do this. And just by being aware from your conscious idea of the fantasy or the concept that you want to create, you work through to the creative process where you know all the elements that you want to work with, and then you go from the elements until you have this aha moment, and it goes, oh, this is the best idea for this project, and then you carry on to completion with it. But you must have that intuitive moment involved in the creative process, where otherwise it becomes like a redundant, you're doing like, grinding away at the idea, and it's not accomplishing. And so you have to have at some point a relaxed enough state of mind where the intuitive mind comes in and says, aha, this is it. This is the exciting part of the painting or the exciting part of the sculpture that makes it look beautiful. So I think I can do that. I know I can do that on my own. Can you describe a situation that's like that for you? Can you do you have those kinds of experiences when you work on your paintings?
Good. That's a very good question, and that's the process that we are all going through when we creatively work. It's different for every single artist. My process is similar as yours. I lock myself. I work on 3 to 4 to 5 paintings in the same time. I have no.
That's a lot of paintings.
Yeah. I cannot sit and work hours and hours in one image. I would be killing myself if I do that. Oh. My energy is very high, and always I will paint one think about second one, what I need to do it, and the third one, what I need to edit, because it's always about editing, about excluding things that you are overwhelmed. That's me. That's how I do it.
Yes.
I overwhelm everything. All my paintings. There's a big sizes mainly. I am struggling a lot with a small size. If you give me 50 by 50 inches and larger, I have no problem to see the picture, that transfer my ideas, to create a story, to make it work in my language of what I do. But when you give me a small size canvas, I'm struggling a lot. I cannot find myself. So it takes a lot of editing and a lot of thinking in order to get there. Of course, the creative part, what I'm going through is just, as you said, you think through the ideas, you want to process that, you have everything ready, but from that moment that you start working on your canvas to the finishing end, things change. And I am editing as I go. I change, I make a conversation with myself. I'm listening to music. It helps me a lot to relax. It helps me to think through the process. But it is a thinking process every time that you work, at least when I work in my studio.
Yeah.
It is struggling and questioning why. And when you ask those questions to yourself, why I'm doing this? What is the outcome? What I would like to say with this image? Is it a continuation of the last story? Is it something new that they just start beginning, being bored? I don't know. So I have to really make sure that all pieces or imagery on my work fits somehow, tells to tell the story. So it's hard, as you can imagine, and you know that. It's hard to get through my 3 or 4 days. I'm same as you. I have my evenings mainly. I have days that I paint, which is mainly Mondays and Tuesdays, and then I've switched to Wednesday night and Friday night or Thursday night. So then I will not be disturbed, and I will sit in my studio with a loud music and glass of whiskey. So that helps. And
relax, huh?
And just go for it. And all my thinking process when I'm not working in my studio. Many times it will happen that I'm driving, doing a business, and I'm thinking, what is the next step that I have to do? What is the editing that I have to change? What is that I have to change in that painting? If you're an artist 24/7, it does not change your life. You can wash dishes and you're an artist because you think about your process and what you're working on.
Right.
It helps me to when I wear my other hats, to just relax for a bit and not to think all the time. But my art is with me 20%.
Yeah.
Same as you.
Yeah, and I do understand the idea of having many projects on the go at the same time. It's very important because I really feel that the creative process occurs while you work. It doesn't occur when you're not thinking about it or it's not in your mind. It happens while you're actually in the action of producing something, and then this idea comes along and it says, this is it. This is the thing that makes you excited.
Yes, and you are happy and surprised, and I'm many times surprised myself, wow, why I didn't think about that yesterday.
Yeah.
But that's the reason that you need your time in the studio. That's the reason that you need to really focus and just be relaxed and do what you're trying to do. And probably is the way how a lot of artists see their work and produce their work.
Yes, right. Oh. Well, that's really great. I'd love to hear this confirmation, really, about the creative process. And I know it's true. I know it's true with all successful artists that they have this process, and there is a way that you've learned through your own experience to to make it so for yourself, and then you can add other parts to it. But there is that core issue of being creative, and that's the essence of your art, and it shows and it shares. You share yourself with everyone that sees your art that way. So it's really wonderful.
It's very true.
Yeah.
Very true. It's hard not to think about that people will see your work, that they will judge, they will critique. But when a piece is done, you sign it, and you decide that that's your signature, that piece is good enough that you sign it, it's not yours any longer. It belongs somewhere else. And that helps me to move on and create more. Otherwise, I will be stuck with my first few paintings, and I will hold them dearly, and I will never do anything else. But you have to let go. Yes. And that's very hard for some artists to do it. And I had a lot of them saying, I can't, if I need to change something, I need to change some part of the painting. I cannot do it because I didn't start a new one.
Yes.
And that's what I do.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much for being with us today. It was really wonderful to hear about your creative process and all the exciting things that you do to show your art to the world and help other people show their art to the world. So I really appreciate that. And your gallery's in Fort Langley, and is it open all the time? Is it?
It's open from Tuesday to Sunday. And yes, we have a operational director working and running the gallery. Okay. I'm just a person who oversees us and check on them and see how they're doing.
So if someone wants to see your art online, can they see it on the website?
Yeah, I have. Yes, in person. It's in the gallery as well. I have commercial galleries that represent my work, and my newest gallery is in Saskatoon, the Rouge Gallery. I have work in a few galleries in Vancouver, and on my website for art consulting company, I have to change a few things. The paintings are sold, so we have to re-upload new ones, and it's waffair.com. It's done my art consulting company that I have worked on it.
Okay.
And my milakostic.com is my personal website. And
milakostic.com.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's terrific. Thank you. So don't go away, but I'm just going to stop the recording now. Okay. Great. Thank you. Are you still there? Yeah. Whoops.
I hope that I haven't been prepared for questions, and it's just a spontaneous one, and I hope that helps.
Just one second.
Yeah.